I broke into a church in the middle of the night with one goal: to steal. I desperately needed money to save my daughter's life. But what I found inside was nothing like I expected. And in that darkness, something, or someone, spoke to me. My name is Caleb, and 3 years ago my life collapsed like a house of cards. Not because of drugs or addictions, but because of a series of events that dragged me to rock bottom financially. It all started when my wife, Reese, found out she was pregnant. We were newlyweds, only 8 months into our marriage, and our first child was on the way. It was a dream come true. I worked as a welder at a shipyard, and she was a nurse. We had a simple but stable life. Then came the diagnosis. Reese developed a rare pregnancy complication that forced her to stop working in her 5th month. The medical bills began piling up. Procedures the insurance wouldn't cover, expensive medications, specialist appointments. I worked overtime, took weekend jobs, but it wasn't enough. When our baby was born, a beautiful little girl we named Hope, she had to stay in the NICU for 6 weeks. Each day cost more than $1,000. The insurance denied several claims, saying the treatments were experimental. Hope needed urgent surgery, and the hospital demanded $100,000 up front. I pawned my car, my welding tools, even my wedding ring, the one my grandmother had given me. Ironic, since it had only been on my finger for 8 months. I borrowed from relatives, friends, co-workers. Some helped, others started avoiding me. Jackson, my best friend since childhood, lent me $5,000, his savings for a new car. "It's all I've got, man," he said. "But Hope needs it more than I need a car." Even with that, we were nowhere close. What I was about to do next would change everything forever. Before we continue, do you see the subscribe button? Hit it and also click like if you're enjoying this. Here, we don't tell the same old stories. We share powerful, faith-filled stories that change lives. It was Tuesday, March 15th. Hope had been in the hospital for 2 months, and the doctors said that without surgery that week, well, they couldn't promise anything. Reese was at the hospital, sleeping in an uncomfortable chair next to our daughter's crib. I went home to take a shower and try to get a few hours of rest before going back. But sleep wouldn't come. I could only think about the numbers. $127,000 owed to the hospital, $3,200 in the bank, and our baby struggling to breathe. That's when the idea came. The Cedar Street Baptist Church was just 3 blocks from our house. I'd passed it thousands of times but had never stepped inside. I wasn't religious. Not since I was a kid when my mom took me to the local church. But I knew churches kept money. Sunday offerings, special donations, charity funds. Maybe, just maybe, there would be enough inside to cover at least part of Hope's surgery. What happened when I walked into that church still gives me chills. At 2:15 a.m., I parked my bike, the only transportation I had left, behind the church. The building was small, made of red brick, with a well-kept garden in the front and a simple sign. First Baptist Church, Pastor Bennett. I walked around looking for a way in. The back door had a simple lock. Using a screwdriver from home, I forced it open in less than 3 minutes. The click of the door unlocking echoed in the silence like a gunshot. I froze, heart pounding, listening for an alarm. Nothing, just the wind moving through the trees outside. I stepped in. The darkness inside was complete. No streetlights reached in, and the stained glass windows blocked any moonlight. I turned on my phone flashlight and began to explore. The sanctuary was smaller than it looked from outside, but it had something. The dark wooden pews were arranged in perfect rows facing a simple altar. Behind the pulpit, a wooden cross hung on the wall, seeming to watch me in the dim light. For a moment, a knot formed in my chest. A voice in my head, probably just my conscience, whispered, "What are you doing, Caleb?" But the image of Hope at the hospital, her tiny body covered in tubes and wires, silenced any hesitation. I wasn't there to hurt anyone. I was trying to save my daughter. I searched for the church office. There had to be one, a place for records and maybe cash. I found a side door with a sign, Pastor Bennett Office. It was unlocked. Who locks doors in a church? The office was warm and welcoming. A big wooden desk, bookshelves filled mostly with Bibles and commentaries, a few family photos, and in the corner, a small gray safe. My pulse quickened. That was it, the answer to our problems. I knelt in front of the safe, checking the digital lock. It was an older model, probably a simple combination. I tried 1, 2, 3, 4, then 0, 0, 0, 0. Nothing. I tried obvious dates, but still nothing. Frustration built inside me. Hope was in a hospital bed needing surgery, and I couldn't even crack a church safe. And then, the impossible happened. Caleb. I froze. The voice came from nowhere and everywhere. It wasn't loud, but it filled the whole room. I spun around, expecting to see someone. Nothing, just darkness. Who's there? I whispered. Caleb, my son. This time, there was no doubt. The voice was real, gentle, but carrying an authority that stopped me in my tracks. It was like love itself had learned to speak. My legs gave way. I dropped to my knees, tears running down my face. I need this money, I choked out into the darkness. My daughter, she's going to die. I know Hope. Then why is she suffering? You are not her savior, Caleb. Those words hit me like a punch. For months, I had carried the weight of saving my family all on my own. But I'm her father, and I am the father of you both. What happened next left me speechless. Stand up. I struggled to my feet. Go to the bookshelf. I walked over, confused. Third book, second shelf. It was an old Bible. When I opened it, an envelope fell to the floor. Inside were several $1,000s in cash. Pastor Bennett kept this for emergencies, for families like yours. I inspired him to save it, just as I brought you here tonight. My mind was spinning. God brought me here for far more than money. It's still not enough for the whole surgery. See Pastor Bennett tomorrow. Tell him your story. He will help you. Just trust. And will Hope be okay? I have a great purpose for her that you cannot yet imagine. I put the money in my pocket, but something inside had shifted. That crushing desperation was gone. I still worried for Hope, but I no longer felt I was carrying it alone. For the first time in months, I felt real hope. At 8 a.m., I rang the doorbell at the parsonage. Pastor Bennett opened the door. A man in his 60s with gray hair and kind eyes. Pastor Bennett? Yes. How can I help you? My name is Caleb. I need your help. It's about my daughter. He didn't hesitate. Come in, son. I told him everything about Hope. The complicated pregnancy, the debt, the desperation. He listened quietly. When I finished, he said, God woke me up at 3 a.m. yesterday to pray for a family in crisis. Now I know who it was for. What happened next was a true miracle. Pastor Bennett mobilized an entire network of support. Within a week, our story spread across multiple churches. Donations poured in, not just money but practical help. A doctor in the congregation negotiated a discount for the surgery. A hospital secretary arranged for several charges to be forgiven. A couple offered Reese a place to stay. 3 days later, Pastor Bennett called me. Come over, now. When I arrived, there was a TV van in the parking lot. Our story reached some influential people, he explained. They want to help and share it to inspire others. God truly was taking care of everything. Hope's surgery was performed 2 weeks later. It wasn't just successful, it exceeded all expectations. The doctors were amazed at her recovery. The money, completely raised by the community. That envelope in the Bible was just the beginning. Today, Hope is 3 years old, healthy, bright, full of life. Jackson refused when I tried to repay his loan. Put it toward Hope's college fund. It's an investment in her future. Pastor Bennett and I have become friends. I help out with church projects now and then. I know what it's like to be desperate and to find help. Last week, Pastor Bennett told me something. For years, he had kept money in that Bible, never knowing why. It was like someone was preparing me for something, he said with a smile. If this story touched your heart, leave a like and subscribe. Share your thoughts in the comments. It helps us bring more inspiring, life-changing stories. And now, Watch the next story that will leave you in awe. A real dream about the rapture you can't miss. Thanks for listening. God bless you.